That's a great point, Ben, and thank you for mentioning gaming, because I feel like that's one of the industries that it has hundreds of millions of gamers around the world, and when these game studios can integrate Web3 seamlessly, it's going to onboard a lot of people into blockchain, and it's going to be fascinating when that happens. And I feel like right now we're seeing a lot of games that they're really good, but of course games that are really good, they take a few years even to create, and I don't think we've really hit that turning point where an amazing game that's come out that's very blockchain based, we've seen Axie Infinity and some of these ones but they didn't seem sustainable. It's not Call of Duty level yet, but I feel like it will be in the near future. One thing I'm curious about on the infrastructure side is some of these games, you sort of mentioned earlier about Web 2 to 2.5 and sort of onboarding into Web 3. I feel like there's a lot of limitations on the infrastructure for really good games, whether it's just managing the graphics or the load of the game. I'm curious on your insights into the infrastructure of the games, and does it all go on the Web3 infrastructure and the blockchain, and can it support it, or is that not necessary to actually run the game and you can still do NFTs, transactions, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Actually, this is very recently. Actually last week, right? But we also joined the GDC, which is one of the largest gaming development conferences. And there's a lot of discussion on this one, right? And for our team, also hosted one of the discussion panel with some of the game and also other, kind of the infrastructure provider for the wallet side, right? We have a lot of discussion on this area, as you just mentioned, right? How can we make sure have a sustainable gaming ecosystem there, right? Especially in the GDC, if you have a chance to see the GDC participants, most of them are Web 2. The big giants, right, in the games that from game engine, from the game tooling, right, from the real game studios, right, game publisher. There's a whole, of course, game, and some of the game champion or guild, this kind of the stuff there, right? So it's a very comprehensive ecosystem there. If we compare with the Web3 gaming ecosystem, I think it's just the beginning, right? As you mentioned, last year or in the past 2 years, right, the X Infinity or some of the play to earn, right, they do get some attraction. However, very, very few games can survive. I would say more than 6 months, right, or last more than 6 months. Most of them cannot attract the enough users, right? They are either do not have enough gameplay there, means do not have enough fun there, right? Because the game still, I'm not a heavy game player, but I can see a lot of the top or based games, right? They have a very good game design, and also game, attract more people to really play the games, right? This is very, very important. But another part is also, game is a large user base, because means it's not like 1 million daily active user, right? It's 10 million, even very large million, user bases which have huge challenges for our infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure. It's not only the network, right, but also storage, right? So I think because without this kind of the infrastructure, you cannot solve the in the game, right? Typically you using the NFT to make sure you have the ownership of your either games, a vector, games of your meta related information, or all of this your own chain behaviors, actually, right? So it needs a very high performance infrastructure there, from layer 1, layer 2, storage, etc. And of course, user experience. All of these user experience should dramatically improve. So I personally feel in the Web3 games, right, there's huge opportunities to keep improving, especially for us for the infra side. And as I mentioned, right, we are also mentioned some of the wallet as service. For example, this is one of example. I don't think the in a game you need to manage the private key, right? If any game say that you still need to manage the private key, come on, right? That cannot be sustainable there, right? So you have to using but good things is Ethereum introduced the account abstraction, and a lot of the wallet as service introduced, right? They can support the social logging and the social recovery. This is the big breakthrough for the infrastructure side. And recently we worked with, because we want to provide a holistic infrastructure for the gaming, right? We really identify several areas for the large scale gaming, right? Especially targeting to the game studio, game engine, and usually, right, they are working they need a high performance storage, as I mentioned that, right? Because if you have so many NFT linked to the specific, let's say, a lot of the storage related stuff, right? For their gaming, their vector, their a lot of the on-chain behaviors, right? They are like all of these kind of the game and storage data is there, right? So they have to save this one, and this one is needed. And another one is also when we talk to the game, you find it's super interesting. They need like Web3 identity, which means right. So this one is quite critical for the Web3. You need to join and you need to demonstrate who you are and demonstrate your all of these kind of game achievements, right? Because you may share these game achievements to the other when you are collaborate with other game guild or game like communities, right? You need to demonstrate that. How can you like demonstrate a Web3 identity without like sacrificing your privacy, right? This is very interesting topics in the gaming side, especially for the Web3 gaming. There are huge things there. Of course, scalability, right, in terms of the blockchain is one of the critical side. That's also why NodeReal provides this service, right, blockchain as service, Explorer as service right now. So we are not only provide the POS chain, but also layer 2 chains right now. I think the holistic infrastructure need to work out in this year, but we really see that's huge opportunity. And this year is the first year we can see most of this technology are ready.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times, and thank you for explaining all of that.
Yeah.
I think the part on the scalability to when there is a big game that all of these companies, game studios, they're very interested, but obviously they don't want to move too quickly, faster than the blockchain infrastructure can handle. And even on the NFT side, we're seeing some of these companies. They are introducing NFTs, but they're being walking very lightly and making sure that they don't hurt their user base, because gaming is so important. These companies that already have millions of active players, they don't want to mess it up. The people are already enjoying the game without blockchain in it. Yeah. How can we make it better without making people angry, right? And I feel like especially in some of these, metaverse or full Web3 games, they are lacking the user experience or the graphics. For example, on all the metaverses, the graphics is fairly low and the depth of field isn't very good. Can the blockchain infrastructure fix that, or do you need to, keep part of the game into Web 2 and just have the transaction side on Web3? Will we be able to support a beautiful Call of Duty that has amazing graphics just on blockchain infrastructure without any Web 2 at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? So I think that's why using latest example, right? Because we are working with the COCO's engine. The COCO's engine is one of the largest game engine, and they have a rendering there, right? And they can have a very beautiful 2D and 3D rendering engine there. So for this user experience side, I don't think blockchain can solve that. That's not the spirit of the blockchain, right? The blockchain means can help you to introduce the very good ownership of your assets and your data. So which means you own your assets, own your data to empower your person or like your community, right? So this is a very different perspectives. At the same time, right, I think with this one really can help for the game to empower their users, empower their community, right? Make sure they can introduce more tokenomics, right, for their like assets and data there. But at the same time, we also see some of the use cases to try to leverage the ZK as a service to really bring the Web 2 to the Web 3. So which means the Web 2 game, they still can running everything in the off chain, right? In the off chain. For example, all of your Web 2 engine, your beautiful look and feel, your like very high performance experience, still keeping in the Web 2. How can you leverage the Web 3? You can have a very good connection, leverage ZK technology to prove something into the chain. And let's say, you can have your Web 2 off chain, your user like historical information, and put that one as a proof in the on chain, right? That information can be used to like connect, for example, for the future airdrop or future community engagement. Give a weak example, right? If you are the let's say one of the top Web 2 players in the past 1 year, right? You still can get a benefit. This information only saved in the Web 2, but you can generate some ZK proof to put into the blockchain. That information can give you a lot of the benefits to connect with other Web3 new games, right? Because they can know, oh, you are very heavy players. You get the benefits. I want to invite you to our community. This is a very interesting idea. I talked to this kind of the game engine, right? They share this kind of experience. They do not want to move all the Web2 games to the Web3. But they want to leverage this Web3 technology to empower their Web2 existing community. So that's something I really think, that's a trend. Not necessarily to, transform all the Web2 tech application to the Web3, but have some way to connect. So ZK it's introduced a new opportunity here.
Very interesting, and I haven't heard of that with the ZK but I can imagine how it would make it more scalable and even more private as well to just leverage that technology for the assets and transactions. So